Hi guys, we're Group U. My name is Olivia.
And Shaza.
Susie.
We would like to share a good consulting report with you guys so you can apply some of the ideas to your upcoming individual report. The report we're talking about today is called Maui Rao, From Signal to Action, and is about creating an ecosystem of Māori entrepreneurs. Maui Rao refers to the many faces of Maui as he adapted to the changes of his environment. We're going to start from telling the background of this consultancy report, such as why they did this research, who compiled and who commissioned them, who's the audience, and then discuss about the structure, research methods, and layout and format of this report. Continue with how they reference and what's the impact of this research. Lastly, answering questions brought about by other teams. The purpose of this report is to focus on two kaupapa, which are ideas that are foundation for action. In terms of this report, they are leadership and entrepreneurship. To shine a light on the increasing percentage of Māori business owners and self-employed peoples. To describe existing businesses and iwi organisations that are leading examples of organisational and systemic change in these areas, to discuss the continuation of Māori leadership into the next generations, and to recommend key actions for next steps in terms of job creation, entrepreneurship, and business ownership.
The report has been co-authored by Māori sector leaders in KPMG New Zealand and ASB Bank. These four authors compiled it between 2016 to 2017 and released this report in June 2017. For people who don't know, KPMG is a global organization of independent professional service firm providing audit, tax, and advisory services, while ASB is a registered bank in New Zealand. It's quite interesting that unlike other typical consulting project we heard, KPMG and ASB Bank were actually commissioned by themselves to compile this report for Māori entrepreneurs and business owners, especially as well as the world public. So you can find this consulting report on KPMG's website. I'll put the link in the description below. The intended audience of this report would be individuals and organizations interested in supporting the development and success of Māori people in New Zealand. This may also include government agency, non-profit organizations, private companies, investors, and individuals involved in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And of course, Māori entrepreneurs themselves and anyone interested in promoting economic development and diversity in New Zealand. The structure of this report is quite clear and logical. So start from the opening, describe the issues and define specific objectives and purpose of this report. And then they divided body into three big parts, like leadership, entrepreneurship, and the call to action. In leadership and entrepreneurship part, after each introduction, they put case studies in to support their findings. Lastly, they put consultancy information at the end of the report, like introduction of their team, authors' backgrounds, and contact information, which is really good for the readers to have further assistance.
Well, there are multiple forms of data in the report, and the methods used are clearly outlined through the use of community groups and surveys. As it's a report conducted by a large consulting firm with backing from prominent people in the community, the way the report is outlined, laid out is easy to read and professional. It specifically states that it has both examples of qualitative and quantitative data. Qualitative data used in this report are case studies, stakeholder interviews, and community consultations. First, through case studies of successful Māori-led businesses, report provided the factors that contributed to their success, such as access to funding, mentoring, and cultural support. The case studies are based on qualitative interviews with entrepreneurs themselves, customers, employees, and other stakeholders. Second, through interviews with government officials, investors, and community leaders, the report provides insight into a wider ecosystem in which Māori entrepreneurs operate. The interviews explore current policies, programs, and opportunities for collaboration to support Māori entrepreneurship. To cover a wide variety of these entrepreneurs, consultants distributed questionnaires through online platforms, social media, and community networks, and used qualitative methods such as semantic analysis to identify common themes and patterns. Last but not least, through consultation with Māori communities, the report shows the cultural and social factors that influence Māori entrepreneurship. With regard to the impact of this qualitative data, firstly, it provides insight into the experience and the perspectives of Maori entrepreneurs. By understanding the needs and aspirations of them, policymakers can develop support strategies tailored to their unique circumstance. Second, the data helps to build a more inclusive and diverse Maori entrepreneurial ecosystem by giving investors insight into the challenges and opportunities they face. In addition, this qualitative data can inform the development of culturally sensitive and collaborative approaches for stakeholders to engage with Maori entrepreneurs and communities to further build trust and meaningful partnerships. Lastly, the data also contribute to the development of more effective support strategies, which can increase the representation and participation of Maori entrepreneurs in the wider business community and support the development of them. Now let's talk about the quantitative data used in this report. First, the number of Maori-owned businesses gives the reader an idea of the prevalence of Maori entrepreneurship in New Zealand and how this has changed over time. It also identifies the most common sectors for Maori-dominated businesses. Second, the data of revenue and profit shows the economic impact of these businesses and how they compare to non-Maori enterprises. Third, funding data show the availability and access of Maori entrepreneurs to finance. This includes data on the number of Maori enterprises receiving funding, the average size and the sources of funding such as government projects and private investors. In addition, the success rate of Maori enterprises includes survival rates, growth rates, and exit rate, showing readers the challenges faced by Maori businesses. Lastly, demographic data show factors such as age, gender, location, and education of Maori entrepreneurs, identifying areas where they are underrepresented and where targeted interventions may be needed. With regard to the impact of this quantitative data, first of all, it informs policy decisions. Data on the number of Maori-owned businesses, access to finance, and the success rates can help decision makers identify areas where support may be needed to promote Maori entrepreneurship. For example, policymakers may choose to create programs to encourage the entrepreneurs to enter sectors where Maori businesses are underrepresented. Second, it identifies areas where intervention is needed. Data on challenges facing Maori entrepreneurs, such as access to finance or low success rates, can help identify areas where targeted interventions may be needed to support the Maori enterprises. In addition, the data can encourage investment, as income and profit data help to demonstrate the economic impact of Maori entrepreneurship and encourage the virtuous cycle of investment. Finally, data on the prevalence and the diversity of Maori entrepreneurship help to raise awareness of the importance of Maori businesses. This helps to promote cross-cultural understanding and support the development and sustainability of Maori enterprises. Next, Shasa will give you more information about the format of this report.
So one of the biggest character of this report is that it has excellent typesettings. It uses a good amount of words and pictures to most pages to balance the narratives. So good arrangement of text and images provide a great reading experience. So you can see picture here. They have proper margin and space between titles and paragraphs. Dividing page into 3 sections to make those words not boring and easier to read. So Olivia will talk more in detail about the text later. Comparing to other consulting reports, this report used more image and photos. Like almost 80% of the pages contains picture. So picture between pages not only give a break of reading, but also visualize concepts to enhance readers' understandability. Although they include many colors in the report, they basically stick in these colors. Hence, visually, the reports have consistency. And we noticed that they didn't include tables and diagrams in the report. We believe it's because they prefer to translate numbers into charts and to enhance the instinct feeling of numbers and understandability of the relationship between different research objects over time. And the most table-alike graph is this one, which is a helpful reference for EV asserting what the enterprise ecosystem look alike in their respective regions and nationwide. So instead of number, they put the company logos in this graph.
The writing and data in this report is also supported by the use of multiple charts to help illustrate the employment rates of different population groups, as well as future projections for both workforce and enterprise within the Māori community. These are used to visually affirm the data. These charts are clearly readable with appropriate graph and axis titles, legends, and captions explaining the purpose of each dataset. For example, the bar chart clearly states the graph conveys statistics on the percentage of self-employed and employers by population group, with a legend that shows the difference between two categories through the difference in colour texture. The scale on the y-axis clearly shows the overall percentages of the population provided, the x-axis titles clearly show the different subsets of the population, and the caption shows how the graph is related to the writing in the report. This format, with minor changes to account for the type of graph, is continued for all graphs throughout the report to clearly show the link to the subject matter, so that people can have a more informed understanding of the information they have read. This allows an extra layer of value to be added to the overall report. In terms of the text used, for the titles they have used an easily readable sans serif font. This means it wasn't made to be a decorative font and rather was used for purely educational purposes. It is modern and easy to follow with consistent height and no extra tapers. The captions and quotes from the interview participants use a thicker font. It is used to not overshadow the main title, but still show up against the simpler font of the regular text. The text for all headings is center aligned, so that the user can read them with ease because the lines are short, scannable, and don't need repeated eye movements. Whereas the regular text is left aligned, which is a more traditional style, it is easiest to read in large amounts, as this is how our eyes naturally track words. There is also a large use of the Māori language, as this report is about and for Māori people. This report has in-text references listed throughout. The way the report was conducted using case studies and interviews makes it hard to compile a proper list of references, which would normally be placed at the very end of the report. Because a lot of the external information was gathered using interviewing as the primary method of collection, the information doesn't need to be cited in a regular reference list, but rather cited as personal communication, which can be stated throughout the report, with just a list of attendees at the bottom. This style of collecting data was used because the purpose of the report was to describe and discuss existing practices and recommend further steps, which is done most effectively by talking to people in the specific industry and demographic that the report is catered to. Therefore, not as much broad data needs to be collected in order to relay the message. In terms of the diagrams, charts, and pictures, you can see source information where they have sourced or adapted the different means of communicating ideas. This is not in any particular style, but still used effectively to show the original sources of information. It is important to note that this report is part of an ongoing series of reports that stretches from 2016 until the present day. The themes shown in our report are built upon and expanded each year to continue to better understand the overall landscape of problems that this report is trying to discuss, as well as other questions and issues that may arise as part of the new findings.
Well, as a team, we learned a lot from this assessment. For example, we realized the importance of effective communication. Consulting and research often involve working with clients or stakeholders who may not have a technical background. Therefore, effective communication is essential to convey complex information in a clear and concise manner, such as interviews and surveys.
I agree with what Susie said. I think that also applies to our teamwork. So keeping good communication helps us to stay in the same page. No one will be left behind, not sure what to do, or doesn't know what others are doing. So finally, we can keep on track and be on schedule.
We also realised the importance of working to the strengths of our team members and using that to our advantage as part of the final presentation. We realised that not everyone has to do the same thing, and the end result can often be more cohesive if people work directly to their individual strengths, instead of trying to solve small increments of each task. As part of our reflection, we each considered how this assessment would influence each of us as we continued with this course. In my case, before this assessment, I was unsure of what a consulting report was and what sort of information was typically shown within it. Learning more about what sort of data is seen in reports and what strategies consultants use to analyse this raw data has helped me in developing my skills in how I approach and decipher data in complex reports.
Through this assessment, I learned a lot of ways to write consulting reports. Through analysis from different aspects, I had a deeper understanding of the elements that consulting reports should contain. This will be of great help to me in writing and analyzing consulting reports in the future.
During this preparation and after the assessment, I'm getting more curious about consulting. Therefore, I joined 180-degree Consulting Club in UC and might be part of the consulting team to help local charities next semester. So by reading this report, I got more ideas of how consulting firms deal with real-world problems and arrange roundtables to discuss issues. Also, after reviewing more than 3 consulting reports, I strongly feel good balance between words and pictures did help readers to catch the idea consultants want to convey. So I believe it will help me to develop my researching skills and broaden my vision in the future. Moreover, after talking to 2 KPMG consultants, now I know how to build my skills to be qualified as a good consultant. So after the presentation to other teams, we got some questions. First one is like why we choose the report from those assigned. So well, first of all, we all know KPMG is one of the big 4 consulting firms in New Zealand, and we thought it's a good idea to learn how to compile a consulting report from them. Secondly, we would like to join KPMG's network in the future, so it's a good opportunity for us to know more about the project they did in the past.
Another one of the questions we got asked by the other teams is there any specific time for the conducted research? We found the answer for this to be technically yes, although the exact timeline is unknown to us. Maui Rau is presented as a yearly report, which means that the research was done throughout the year, building on the previous report's findings. We also discovered after reading the 2016 report that some of the themes and facts are similar to our chosen report. This means that we can assume the research was conducted over a period of at least 2 years before the report came out.
The third question we got is, do you think the report as it's presented helped to increase Maori entrepreneurs or Maori-owned businesses number? Well, for the question, we think the report could potentially help to increase the number of Maori-owned businesses or Maori entrepreneurs, but its impact will depend on how it's received and implemented within the Maori community. The report provides a range of recommendations and insights on how to foster an ecosystem that supports Maori entrepreneurship, such as increasing access to capital and mentoring opportunities, promoting entrepreneurship education, and enhancing collaboration between Maori businesses and government agencies. Well, if these recommendations are taken up and implemented effectively, they could provide valuable support to Maori entrepreneurs and help to address some of the barriers they face. The first question we got is, in the latest one, do they review the actual results with the predicted results from their previous reports? Well, the answer to this question is yes. For example, in this 2017 edition report, we analyzed the consultants predicted that within 2 to 5 years, many companies would be freeing employees from routine administrative tasks and allowing them to use their experience and skills to focus on their other tasks. Then in the latest 2022 edition of the report, digital innovation and new technology developments have really increased productivity, freeing employees from the daily groundwork and engage them in higher value activities.
Another key question posed to us was, what can we learn from this report? While we briefly discussed some aspects in the reflection slides earlier in the video, we believe that the key takeaways are the importance of Māori entrepreneurs and business owners to the overall landscape of New Zealand's diverse economic web, and both the types of businesses they can create and the additional revenue they can contribute. We also learned that the importance of teaching entrepreneurship and leadership skills at an early age in order to encourage the next generation of leaders, and how the old and the new generations can come together to teach and guide each other through an ever-changing workforce. The future of Māori leaders in entrepreneurial roles requires a balance of new energy and old wisdom within a traditional value system.
And the last question we got from our team is, what was the motive incentive to commission the report internally? So for this case, KPMG itself is a consulting company, so publish this report is kind of like promoting their service. At the same time, ASB can also attract potential customers to use their financial tools. And moreover, one of the KPMG's value is to help local organizations to achieve more. They want to discharge social responsibilities. So by creating space for next cohort of Maori leaders, KPMG and ASB establish a strong corporate image. Thanks for listening. So after our presentation, we hope you can take something away, like what a good consulting report look like, and we hope you can apply some of the valuable concept to your own individual reports, also to your future study or career. I'll put the link of this consulting report to the description below. You can find more information from there. Thank you.